Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. It is an eventful day, a pivotal day, I would say, in the world of politics. I am not sure if we are running. Yes, we are. We're on the main channels, so we're in good shape as we go live tonight with today's top stories. Of course, we have this big shift politically in Hungary, where Viktor Orban has been defeated. He lost his election today, even though J.D. Vance went over and campaigned for him. Also, maybe even, well, it is even more significant than that, at least in the short run, Donald Trump, on the heels of the failed peace negotiations or peace talks yesterday with Iran, Trump has announced a plan to blockade the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. He's going to blockade the blockade. I think I understand where the advantage or the strategy might be in that, but it isn't clear to everyone. I will share my thoughts on that tonight for what they're worth. A very confusing, chaotic situation in the Middle East, continuing to evolve. We also have skyrocketing oil prices. A lot of other stuff to cover tonight as well. We're also going to get into the king and authoritarianism and the creation, the birth of an entirely new word, which may soon become a common word used to describe a certain type of political person. It's a bit of a mystery. You have to wait until the end of the program to find out what it is, but it could soon be weaving its way into your vocabulary. So pay attention. It could be the most significant thing to come forward in tonight's broadcast. I'll be back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Right off the top, lead story tonight, Viktor Orban has conceded defeat after 16 years in power in Hungary. Peter Magyar's center-right party has won a landslide victory with roughly 45% of the ballots tallied so far tonight. Probably a little bit higher than that now as we are on the air here. I don't think all of the ballots have been counted, but we're probably up around 50 or 60% at this point. And now tonight, as we sit here live on the air, and he is projected to win about 135 out of 199 seats, enough to form a supermajority, according to Hungary's National Election Office. Mainstream media, independent media, all over the world taking note of this. It is a shift, politically, ideologically, even on the global stage, politically. The Orban government, I think, has formed. It was a tip of the spear, in a manner of speaking, for the populist, the global populist movement. And what this victory tonight indicates is something of a shift a little bit more over to the center. It isn't like you're getting a socialist or a liberal government, but this is a more moderate, softer, more pro-Western government that will replace Viktor Orban's government. So it is a significant shift back toward partnering with the West and not really embracing to such an extreme degree the illiberalism of the Orban regime in Hungary. Pick up this report from Sky News.
Taking you live to Budapest, Viktor Orban has lost the election. The Hungarian opposition leader, Peter Magyar, has said that Prime Minister Viktor Orban conceded defeat in the election in a phone call, and it is a bombshell result which will have repercussions right across Europe and beyond. The head of the opposition posting on Facebook, Prime Minister Viktor Orban just congratulated me on the phone on our victory.
And here's the new leader of Hungary, or elect.
És erős alapokra helyezzük, és lehetőség szerint ki is bővítjük a visegrádi négyek együttműködését. Ennek jegyében az első utam Lengyelországba fog vezetni az 1000 éves lengyel-magyar barátság megerősítésére.
Yeah, I am sorry, I don't speak the language, and I don't think there are subtitles on
A
this,
második
but
utam
you got the
Bécsbe
feel of
vezet
it.
majd, a harmadik pedig Brüsszelbe, hogy hazahozzuk a magyar embereket megillető uniós forrásokat. És erős alapokra helyezzük.
So it is big news. It is significant. It signals, as I say, a shift ideologically, politically, not just in Hungary, but on the global stage. So we're continuing to follow this, and as the results continue to come in this evening, we can maybe update you on exactly how big the victory is, but that is the bottom line, is it's a huge landslide victory tonight. Viktor Orban on the way out, a new era for Hungary on the way in. It isn't clear at this point how this might impact Hungary's support or lack thereof for the war in Ukraine, which I think is one of the biggest issues or concerns for Europe, and certainly for Canada and to some degree the United States. But the Trump administration, of course, has pivoted away substantially, if not entirely, really, from support for Ukraine. So, don't know. But it does certainly mark a shift from the populist right back into sort of the center right on the political spectrum. So we're following that tonight. And then we have this. This is Donald Trump saying that the United States, starting Monday, will be blockading the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. As I'm sure you are aware by now, after we signed off last night, we learned shortly thereafter that the peace negotiations, the peace talks in Pakistan between the United States and Iran broke down after 21 hours. J.D. Vance involved and came out. And here, I think I have a clip actually. Yes, I do. Let's play the clip from J.D. Vance. This is not right up to the minute, but it certainly is from overnight. And I have it right here on the Maverick News X account. Just so you are aware, on a more regular basis, we are beginning to post clips of breaking news stories over on our X platform. So if you're looking for the latest updates on some of the key stories that we would be following here on Maverick News, you'll find updates there, sometimes through the day and even sometimes through the middle of the night, as things come across our desk and we post them over there. This is what Vance had to say coming out of the peace talks in Pakistan.
Marshall Munir, who were both incredible hosts, and whatever shortcomings of the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms. Marshall Munir, who were
conflicting information tonight coming out of all of this, with some reports saying the Iranians rejected everything the Americans put on the table, with Trump coming back and saying that the Iranians accepted everything except the demands with regard to possession of a nuclear weapon, which he says the Iranians would not comply with. So now we get this from the president over on it. Let's do the Truth Social scroll. Bring you up to date. And we have to go back actually about 7 hours now. And we'll start with that one. He says, after news of the negotiations breaking down, he posted, "So there you have it. The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to." I'm hearing other things out there contrary to that, but in any event. But the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. Effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading, all caps, any, and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. At some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in, all being allowed to go out basis, but Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying there may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody knows about but them. This is world extortion. And leaders of countries, especially the United States of America, will never be extorted. I have also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We will also begin destroying the mines the Iranians laid in the straits. Any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell. Iran knows better than anyone how to end this situation, which has already devastated their country. Their navy is gone, their air force is gone, their anti-aircraft and radar are useless. Khamenei and most of their leaders are dead, all because of their nuclear ambition. The blockade will begin shortly. Other countries will be involved with this blockade. Although I'm seeing other posts out there suggesting that all other EU, NATO countries that have been asked have basically said no, or they're thinking about it. And actually, the only exception to that that I'm seeing so far tonight is France, that has indicated they're reluctant. But even there, in this cloud of war, this fog, information fog that's out there, it's hard to tell what's actually real, because there have been some claims that Starmer has committed to becoming involved to help navigate through, to help ships make their way through the strait, but even that now appears to be questionable. Trump continues here, saying in this post, the blockade will begin shortly. Other countries will be involved with the blockade. Iran will not be allowed to profit off this illegal act of extortion. They want money, and more importantly, they want nuclear. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we will be fully locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran. President Donald J. Trump. And so again tonight, we are seeing conflicting statements coming from the president, because he has said at times that he would just leave the strait to be reopened by other countries. He has said that he doesn't care, that the U.S. doesn't use the strait. He's also said that it was just going to reopen naturally. He said the United States wouldn't be doing anything to reopen it because they didn't care. Now he's saying they are going to reopen it, and it is not really clear what the hell is going on. I don't know if he realizes how contradictory he is to himself, or if he is playing some sort of an information deception game to keep the Iranians confused and deceived. I don't know. I do know that this indicates a lot of U.S. air transport traffic, all those stars and stripes flying around over the map there, in the general vicinity of Iran. Not clear what they're doing, but that's a whole lot of traffic. So it appears they are preparing for something. What's on all those air transports, we do not know. But clearly something is afoot as both sides prepare to unleash the dogs of war again in the Middle East, in the Gulf, in the Strait, where the game of chicken that I highlighted last night, it is a game of chicken, intensifies. They have a blockade, the Iranians blocking the strait. Now Trump saying they are going to blockade the blockade. What would be the point in all of that? Well, best I can figure is they want to starve, if they proceed with this, the objective would be to starve Iran of money, because about 90% of Iran's exports also flow through the strait, along with the oil exports from all those neighboring Gulf states. So, yeah, they've been letting some vessels go through the strait, charging them a fee, and only vessels apparently that are friendly to Iran, from countries that are friendly to Iran, are being allowed to pass. They must pay the fee, nevertheless. And only a trickle a day have been going through the strait. And in fact, today, the reports are that 2 Pakistani vessels loaded with oil were allowed to pass. But that is all. There are also conflicting reports tonight that, I shouldn't say they're the only ones. CENTCOM is reporting 2 U.S. naval vessels, I believe destroyers, also made their way through the Gulf, received a warning by radio from Iran, and then that's where the conflicting information comes in. Some reports from the Iranian and Russian side say the U.S. vessels turned around, turned tail essentially, and left and went back the way they came. The U.S. CENTCOM says the vessels ignored that warning, went all the way through, then turned around and came all the way back. Not sure who to believe. But again, conflicting information coming from Trump, coming from the United States with regard to this in a way, because they've acknowledged that mines have been laid all through the strait. And they haven't cleared, as far as we can tell, all the mines from the strait at this point. And so for two U.S. naval vessels to navigate through there, they would need to know where those mines are. And they'd be taking a chance that they might not know where even one of them is and run into that. I don't know what to believe. Those are just the reports that are coming out. So that's the best I can do for you tonight as we try to get you a little closer to the truth regarding this escalating conflict in the Middle East, this game of chicken that is turning into something of a standoff. Back to the Truth Social. We'll go up this one a little more recent, this one coming a while after that first post we read you with regard to all of this. There it is there. Trump posting, Iran promised to open the Strait of Hormuz, and they knowingly failed to do so. This caused anxiety, dislocation, and pain to the many people and countries throughout the world. They say they put mines in the water, even though all of their Navy and most of their mine droppers have been completely blown up. They may have done so, but what ship owner would want to take the chance? The U.S. Navy? Maybe? Because that's what we were told. And then he goes on, there is great dishonor and permanent harm to the reputation of Iran and what's left of their leaders, but we are beyond all of that. As they promised, they better begin the process of getting this international waterway open and fast. And now suddenly Trump cares about it. Just yesterday he said he didn't care. There is great dishonor and permanent harm, he says, to the reputation of Iran and what's left of their leaders. But we are beyond all of that. As they promised, they better begin the process of getting this international waterway open and fast. Every law in the book is being violated by them. I have been fully debriefed by Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner on the meeting that took place in Islamabad. Through the kind and very competent leadership of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan. They are very extraordinary men and continuously thank me for saving 30 to 50 million lives in what would have been a horrendous war with India. I always appreciate hearing that. The amount of humanity spoken is incomprehensible. The meeting with Iran began early in the morning. It lasted throughout the night, close to 20 hours, 21. I could go into great detail and talk much about what has been gotten, but there is only one thing that matters. Iran is unwilling to give up its nuclear ambitions. In many ways, the points that were agreed to are better than us continuing our military operations to conclusion. But all of those points don't matter compared to allowing nuclear power to be in the hands of such volatile, difficult, and unpredictable people. My three representatives, as all of this time went by, became not surprisingly very friendly and respectful of Iran's representatives, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Abbas Araghchi, and Ali Bagheri. But that doesn't matter because they were very unyielding as to the single most important issue. And as I have always said right from the beginning, and many years ago, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, all caps. And so the tension continues and builds. And I'm not sure where it's going to go. I do know that the oil prices are going to skyrocket if something isn't done fairly quickly. The prices keep going up and down and up and down and up and down, not just on the oil markets, but on the stock market. Trump pulling the levers all the time. What's the price of oil tonight? Yeah, see, it has increased just a couple hours ago. It was like $95 a barrel. And it is now, here, I'll bring it up. 105. Back up above $100. Doesn't take long, does it, for the news to filter through and affect the bottom line price signals. There you go. Oilprice.com. Don't believe me? Go to the website yourself. $105.30 for WTI crude. Brent crude, $103.30. Up about 9% today. That is going to affect prices at the pump again. Just as people thought it might be safe to go back out on the roads without the need to mortgage your home with a second mortgage or take out a big line of credit to buy your gasoline, we see that relief at the pumps was wishful thinking. Let's check gas prices across the United States tonight. Probably has not had too much impact on the retail price of gasoline yet. Bring it up here. We'll go to the AAA fuel prices website for the United States to check the prices nationwide. $4.12 average national price. Highest prices out in California, $5.89 a gallon, $4.97 in Nevada, $5.39 Washington, $4.98 in Oregon, Arizona $4.70. Lowest prices, Georgia $3.71, Mississippi $3.75, $3.49 in Kansas, North Dakota $3.61, and in Texas $3.81. News: pump prices keep climbing as crude oil remains high. Let's read the story from the AAA site. Latest news: pump prices keep climbing as crude oil remains high, and that's actually out of date. So we have the news from Hormuz that you can use that is more current and up to date than what they're posting on the AAA site. Let's go to the CAA gas prices page and see what's happening right here in Canada. We are $1.74.1 per liter is the average price in Canada tonight. I know it's higher than that where I live here. I think we're still in around $1.83, $1.84 a liter today. Highest price in the past month, average price Canada-wide, $1.82. But with these latest developments, with this latest news and the breakdown in peace talks, I think you're going to see the prices climb even higher because as the supply is affected the way that it is, it reduces the total amount of oil going into the world market. Prices are dictated by the global market. Regardless of what Donald Trump says about the United States having a lot of oil, that may be true. And yes, they might be able to replace some of the supply with ramped up production to some degree on the U.S. side, but not substantially, not in the really immediate short term. And just because they have it domestically does not mean that you will pay a lower price at the pump, or that I will, or anybody anywhere in the world will pay a lower price. Just because the United States has lots of oil coming out of the ground because of fracking, largely, which we've talked about to some degree here on the program. And it is, the impact from this is being felt worldwide. And over in Ireland, of course, we are seeing these huge, well, pretty big anyway, depending on who you listen to. It's hard to get depends on which media you're looking at, how big the protest is. But they are major protests over in Ireland. And the Irish government tonight has announced a major €505 million support package to ease the fuel crisis over in that country, following days of nationwide protests by farmers, haulers, truckers, agricultural contractors. I believe the protest is now, was into its 6th day. So these measures by the government include a further 10-cent cut in excise duty on both gasoline and diesel until the end of July, a reduction on green diesel, and a delay in the planned carbon tax increase until October. Carbon tax, that's at the center of the debate. So this whole package was signed off after an emergency cabinet meeting earlier this evening and comes on top of €250 million already announced last month. And yeah, these protests are into, I think, their 6th day, as I said, and have caused widespread disruption. Hundreds of gasoline stations have actually run dry in Ireland. A lot of the major roads, including Dublin's O'Connell Street and the M50, have been blocked, and access to ports and the Whitegate oil refinery were severely restricted. Police moved in yesterday to clear the refinery, making several arrests, while the defense forces remain on standby. I think we have video of some of the clashes between protesters and authorities. Indeed we do. Let me bring it up. Almost there. I've got you. Okay, there's the clip. Why do I hear echoes? There seem to see, something resembling a protest that happened here in Canada at one point.
My battery better not go. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. This is a fucking disgrace. Oh, they're up the other side. Look with all the sheets.
The police making
fucking bastards, isn't they?
Pulling some of these protesters.
This is not right.
Out of the crowd.
Is that What? Oh, go on, the boys. Go on. Keep it tight. Go on. Oh, Jesus, they're all in now. Oh, this is fucking unreal.
Yeah, pretty big protests. Again, though, it's hard to get accurate perspective when I'm getting this information really from news feeds, wire services, and video online. Trying to be very careful about sharing anything that might actually be fake tonight, too. That I did verify was absolutely real, though. So protest organizers say they will study this government's offer before deciding whether to continue with their protest actions over in Ireland. So we could be near the end, or it could continue. It might happen, it might not. I feel like the weatherman. It could rain, but then again, it might not. 50% chance of rain. See, I have a fallback career if this whole live streaming thing doesn't work out. The Rick Walker Weather Report. 50% chance of sun.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Custom shelves for your books or your tech. Cozy space for your treasures to protect. Built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations. Proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
A little more about the election in Hungary. Reaction coming in from around the world tonight. I took note of a couple of them, not because they're the most prominent, but because I think they're among the more interesting. Hillary Clinton posting tonight, the end of Viktor Orban's autocratic regime is a victory not just for Hungary, but for people who value democracy around the world. Congratulations to TISA, to incoming leader Peter Magyar, and to Hungarians everywhere. And then you see reactions. It's the reactions, actually, that I think are even more interesting than the posts from some of these leaders. Valentina Gomez responding to Hillary Clinton, saying, when Hillary Clinton is celebrating her victory, it's because the terrorists won. Dark days are coming for Hungary, she says. And Cecile Shah posts, Orban conceded that's how autocratic he was. Hungary is now under the Brussels autocratic regime who will open the borders to import voters. Watch Hungary move up this chart, an immigration chart. And on the Canadian side, I'm not going to show you the Prime Minister or Pierre Poilievre or any of those guys. I'm going to show you Jason Kenney, because his post generated some really serious backlash against him. Former Conservative Premier of Alberta, he says, Hungarians voted today to end the humiliating submission of their country to Vladimir Putin. Russians out was a leading chant at Hungarian opposition rallies over recent weeks. Putin has lost yet another effort to elect his lackeys in Europe following the recent defeat of pro-Russian parties in Moldova and Romania. This should be a cautionary moment for Putin's allies on the Western Europe right, including Germany's AfD, France's RN, and Britain's Reform. Then, of course, Canadians, being the polite people they are, post Boxing Beaveroo, who is someone hiding behind a fake name, says, "You are an idiot." Obviously, very Canadian. What Hungarians did today, and is what we did when voted out Stephen Harper and elected Justin Trudeau, triple exclamation point. And then Kenny responds, "Peter is a social conservative immigration restrictionist who supports supply-side tax cuts and a doubling of the defense budget. I must have missed that in Trudeau's platform." So he pushed a button with Jason Kenney and got him to respond. Patrick Braukman posts the key takeaways. His defeat after holding office for 19 years, I think it's 16, won't cause you to pick up a rifle and go join in the defense of your Ukraine. It won't reverse Russia's victory. It won't take away from the fact you jailed pastors and churchgoers and had to resign in humiliation. And the super unknown, whoever that is, because we don't know, posts, "End this by flooding their country with economic migrants. Great plan that will sure weaken their economy and show the Russians. Give me a break, bro." You know the issue I have with a lot of this stuff? The fake names. The fake names. You go on, you post stuff, you attack, but you hide behind a fake name. And it's really rampant on Twitter. It's also rampant in our chat, which I will come back to in a moment. Kelly Charlebois, "This is why you are a shitty conservative, Jason. You are like a jonesing addict to the liberal, to be liberal sometimes." Elizabeth, whoever that is, "Russia out, and they walked right into the arms of the countries who forced them to give up 2/3 of their country after World War I. Their ancestors are turning in their graves. At the very least, Magyar should ask Macron and Starmer to revisit Trianon." I think Jason Kenney has a team of posters out to get him. That's what I'm taking away from this. This is a pile-on. This is a coordinated attack on the former conservative leader of Alberta, Jason Kenney, who, of course, made a lot of, alienated a lot of his base because of the way he behaved during the pandemic. And it's still kicking him in the butt, isn't it? It's interesting that J.D. Vance, it's not just interesting, it's unprecedented what he did. Just days, in the last couple of days leading up to the election, he made that trip over to Hungary, actually spoke at a campaign rally for Orban, trying to give him a boost, put him back in the race, but of course he's lost in spectacular fashion tonight. So J.D. Vance gave Orban the kiss of death. Remember, I'd forgotten about this, but somebody else in a text message back and forth today reminded me that after Vance went to visit the Pope died. Now tonight he goes to visit, this week he went to visit Orban, and his government also suffers a fatal attack. And I guess J.D. Vance now has kind of a running trend of bringing bad luck or bad fortune upon people that he visits internationally. I'll tell you this, his visit to Hungary, absolutely unprecedented. There he stood in complete hypocrisy. Stood there, campaigned for Orban while accusing the EU of foreign interference in the Hungarian election. What the hell do you think he was doing? He was campaigning for Orban. Doing exactly that, just in the open. That has never, ever, 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 ever happened before. Ever. Not with the president, not with the vice president of the United States. Never has it been that blatant. The United States, like many countries, including Russia, has been known to meddle in the affairs of other countries, engaging in covert influence activities through propaganda and information warfare in order to affect an outcome in election, to slant things this way or that way and influence the way people think and what they do. They're certainly involved in it. I see it going on even up here in Kazakhstan, whether it's coming directly from the government. I don't think that necessarily is the case, but certainly from the MAGA camp. But they don't care. It's okay if they do it, but it's not okay for anybody else to do it. They are disingenuous when it comes to censorship. They are doing all kinds of things to affect censorship in the United States, doing it in direct and indirect ways, certainly through policy and things like making certain kinds of publications, books in certain areas illegal, banning them. You're seeing books being banned from libraries if they're too woke. So they're affecting it that way, but they're also going out of their way to change ownership structures within media organizations. You're seeing pro-Trump billionaires taking over even the television networks. And that's clearly effort to control the media and therefore control our minds. The first thing you do when you take over a country is you take over the television and radio stations, and now today also, I would say, the internet. And certainly that's what you're getting on social media now through the algorithms. As we've talked about so many times here on the program in recent weeks, Elon Musk has the ability to shift elections, or so he thought. And make no mistake, I'm certain that he was involved in rigging the algorithms over in Hungary to affect a particular kind of outcome. And I don't think it worked out, even with all of that going on, with Orban losing and the new incoming government winning in a landslide tonight. Supermajority is what they are now projecting for the incoming administration in Hungary. Again, it is not a complete rejection of populism. It's a shift more, from what I understand as I'm assessing it, more of a shift into the center. Not quite as radical. I'd say it's probably more in line with Canada's, the Conservative Party of Canada. Not a liberal government, a CPC-style government over in Hungary, but that still is a significant shift. And yeah, it's going to, I think, renew the relationship between Hungary and other EU countries, NATO. You'll see a shift back that way. Let's take a look here. Here's speaking of change in ownership, CNN is going through that right now, and you're already seeing a change in the way they're covering stories. Let's go take a look at and more pro-Trump, and I would say even more less factual stuff being posted. So it's beginning to erode a little bit of the trust and confidence that I have in CNN, because I'm seeing some stories pop up in there from that are just not solid sources. But anyway, we'll see how it plays out over the next 6 months to a year. Here's CNN's report on the election.
The crowd has been absolutely ecstatic. All over the streets of Budapest, you can see the Peter Magyar supporters have come out to make their enthusiasm plain. And one of the more interesting things that I've noticed over the course of the last hour, Peter Magyar has made a speech. It was shown on giant screens just down there by the Danube. While he was speaking, ahead of that, the crowd was shouting Russians out. And that's important, Jessica, because this was the cry of the Hungarian uprising back in 1956. And it's an indication of just how happy people are about what will be a change of policy now on the part of Hungary. It is no longer clear whether Moscow or Washington and its MAGA leadership will be the main allies of the Hungarian Prime Minister. On the contrary, what we expect is that because Peter Magyar has won, Jessica, this supermajority, so that's 2/3 of the parliament, which will allow him, just as Viktor Orban had, to change the constitution. What he'd vowed to do was return Hungary to the rule of law, and we expect him to take a much more pro-European stand. Some of the young people who've been out here tonight have been saying to me, look, we've known practically nothing but Viktor Orban's rule. These are people in their early 20s. And one of the things they're really hoping for is that Hungary can take its place amongst European nations. It is currently, by most indices, the most corrupt and the poorest country in the European Union.
That is a key plank in the platform of the incoming government, has been. Major campaign issue is corruption. A lot of accusations like that being thrown at the Trump administration, too. Probably going to have to talk about that more in the days ahead. So, let's just see here. Is the President Trump posting anything new? Nope. Okay, nothing new over there. Checking over here for anything new and breaking. Checking my list. What else have we got going on? Don't worry, we've got the newest word. Created. It may soon find its way into a dictionary. Who knows? Even if it's just an urban dictionary. We'll have that new word for you later in the broadcast too. Not very. That's not far off. Yeah. Okay. Let's take another short break while I queue up the next material, and we've got the two little features at the end of the broadcast. So don't go away. We've got all that ahead still.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't know if I made it clear, but apparently the reason the protesters were being arrested in Ireland is because they were involved in some blockades, which under Irish law, as is common in many Commonwealth countries, if you go too far with your protest, you engage in blockades, that could be deemed illegal behavior, and then related charges would stem from that and arrests. So that apparently is what was at the root of those arrests. Oh, also back to the fake names on social media and in our chat. I'm going to say this. This channel, as we've talked about, has been an experiment in free speech. And we've had some people kicked out of the chat on the main Rumble channel. So I'm going to extend this olive branch to people who have been banned out of there. If you have been banned at any point, I will, for the next week, entertain appeals. I'm not aware of the circumstances surrounding a lot of, many of the bans, as you know, because I've tried to detach myself from it. But I do believe in free speech. That being said, here's what the deal is. Since we're in the era of Trump, here's the deal. I will entertain people who would like to be unbanned on Channel 1, which is where this has been happening. But, if you want back in there, if you're not already identifying yourself, if you tell me who you are and verify your identity, then I'll look at it. But if you want back in there and you're just going to snipe and attack behind the veil of a fake identity so that there's no way for us to know who you are and are therefore, you can't be held accountable for anything that you actually say, and then all of the responsibility lies on me as the proprietor of the channel, then I'll be less inclined to take a look at your appeal for a get-out-of-jail card. I'd like to have more people in the chat and have civil discourse happening in there, and so I'm willing to look at it, but I don't want to play games with people. So you all know who I am. I'm very easy to find, and if we're going to have open and honest discussion about things, I think that's something that can be done to bring things back to a place of civility online, not just on our channel, but across the social media ecosystem. It's this anonymity that gives people, that emboldens people, and gives people this false sense of bravery where they are much more inclined to be aggressive, attack people, and just be jerks, really, and engage in bad behavior. If you meet somebody on the street and you speak to them face to face, I know that generally speaking, people are civil to each other. They're kind to each other. They're polite. But online, there's this detachment. And with that detachment, you don't have the actual personal interaction. So that's the deal. I'm going to try that. And the email address is available. In fact, here, let me just see if I have it. I do indeed. Here it is. Oh, no, that's on the teleprompter portion, which I never use. And there it is. It's on the bottom. You want to appeal? I'll look at it this week. It's get out of jail week on Maverick News. Maybe. Give me a good argument. Anyway, okay, so what else do we have here tonight? We've got a guest joining us shortly. Should be along any time. And I do need to, again, take a very short pause while I transition into the next portion of our program. Don't go away.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV,
The entire world is watching.
On social media. But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
This is a story that was really highlighted, previewed earlier this week. The leader of Cuba did an interview with Kristen Welker on NBC's Meet the Press. So they released a short clip from it earlier this week to promote it, and then the full interview released today because, of course, it is Sunday, and Sunday is the news magazine day, when these programs run their feature-length interviews. But what we're seeing here is, this situation in Cuba not getting that much attention at this point, but it is really significant because the United States still has a blockade in place, preventing most everything from getting in or out of the island, including energy. And so the electrical grid has been entirely unreliable. It's affecting civilian life and even hospitals, where I don't know. I'm seeing reports that some people have even died. And again, I haven't been able to independently verify this, but reports that generators there's not even enough fuel to run some of the generators at hospitals, and people on ventilators have actually passed away as a result of the fuel shortages that have become a serious problem inside Cuba. Now, the Cuban government, the leader of the Cuban government, saying no, not going to resign, not going to step down no matter how much pressure Donald Trump puts on him. So I'll bring you just a little bit of this interview tonight from NBC's Meet the Press, Kristen Welker.
President Trump is now warning Cuba could be next. This week, I traveled to Havana for the first U.S. television interview with Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel. It comes as Cuba is locked in an extraordinary standoff after the U.S. imposed an oil embargo in January, deepening the country's humanitarian and economic crisis that the U.S. says started 67 years ago by Cuba's communist government. I want to start with President Trump, because President Trump's threats to take over Cuba come as the United States has removed President Maduro from power, has invaded Iran and killed its supreme leader. Do you fear you could be killed or arrested by the United States?
That is a very interesting question. Those of us who have leadership positions in the revolution have a strong commitment to our revolution and to our heroic people. And in this connection, our responsibility entails the conviction and the commitment that we're willing to give our lives for the revolution and for the cause that we defend. So for me, that is not a matter of concern. If the time comes, I don't think there would be any justification for the United States to launch a military aggression against Cuba, or for the U.S. to undertake a surgical operation or the kidnapping of a president. If that happens, there'll be fighting and there'll be a struggle, and we'll defend ourselves. And if we need to die, we'll die, because as our national anthem says, dying for the homeland is to live.
What you're saying is very powerful. But are you afraid for yourself, for your family? Or are you prepared to, as you say, make the ultimate sacrifice if you are attacked?
I have no fear. I am willing to give my life for the revolution. Of course, I wouldn't like that to be the attitude of the U.S. government.
Is Cuba actively bracing for the possibility of a military attack by the United States?
Like I've always said in previous meetings and previous interviews, and when I also address the Cuban people, it is evident that there are threats out there. It is part of the rhetoric of the U.S. government. Cuba has done nothing to offend the U.S. Cuba has never said about attacking the United States or interfering with the United States affairs. However, you hear that Cuba is next, that Cuba is going to be next, that there's a way out, that they're going to take over Cuba. So, from the position of responsibility within the leadership of the country, that is a warning. And we need to responsibly protect our people, protect our project, and protect our country. So we are preparing ourselves for defense. But what is the concept of our preparation for defense? We have a doctrine which is entirely defensive. It is not aggressive. It doesn't pose a threat. In addition, we also believe that as we prepare ourselves to defend is the best way to avoid war and the best way to preserve peace.
Let's discuss the situation here in Cuba. The people of Cuba are suffering right now. Your power grid has failed. Food and energy are running dangerously low, and these problems existed in some form before the blockade was put into effect. Do you take any responsibility for the pain Cubans are experiencing? Usted es el presidente. ¿No se siente responsable?
El pueblo cubano está sufriendo. The Cuban people is suffering. And this can be seen in two areas, in the national aspect and also at the family level, because everything takes place on a daily basis. But what is the main cause for that suffering? Has it been the mistakes that I myself have made, or, like I said, a collective leadership? Or is that suffering, or the government, or is that suffering is the result of the policy of intensified blockade that the United States have maintained? I think that the people can provide that answer. So these are a number of restrictions which are not applied to any other country in the world. Therefore, we lack financing in order to buy food, to buy supplies for our main productions and services, in order to have the medicines that we need and to carry out the repairs that we need for our national energy system and our industrial factories. How does that reflect on our people now?
And yet the people of Cuba say you cannot solely blame the United States because you can trade with other countries. The economy has been in decline for the past 10 years. Hundreds of thousands of people have left Cuba over the past decade, many of them who are young entrepreneurs. Is that a sign that the Cuban economy and government has failed the people of Cuba, la gente de Cuba?
Like I said, when you see that at the family level, how does that happen? There is a scarcity of food, scarcity of medicine. The nights become a very long working nights when you've been 20 hours with a power outage.
But this is before the blockade.
That's when you need
People
to do
were suffering before the blockade.
No, but let me explain. There's a confusion in terms of the approach. For example, we were living under the blockade conditions, but the blockade was intensified and further tightened and became qualitatively different in the second half of 2019 with implementation of 240 measures and with Cuba's inclusion in the list of countries who supposedly sponsor terrorism. So everything became worsened. So we have the accumulated effect of the blockade plus the effect of the tightening of the blockade, and now the effects are caused by this energy blockade. And I can say this responsibly to you. This is not the fault of the Cuban government.
We saw it with our own eyes. Los vimos con nuestros ojos. People living in severe poverty, sufriendo in the streets of Havana, the capital city. Is it time for Cuba to take some responsibility, to look in the mirror and to change its economic system for the people of Cuba who are suffering here, que están sufriendo?
Nosotros siempre hacemos análisis muy autocríticos.
We conduct very self-critical analysis and assessment of our reality, and we're trying to constantly transform and change what we do in order to improve what we do. But that's got nothing to do with the political system. It is not our political system that is embracing that inability to move forward. Our political system is serving people, is serving social justice and making everyone advance. And it seems that it bothers other people around the world because of what it represents, because it is our system for ourselves, not that we want to impose our system on anyone else. And they try to block it like this.
We understand that there are conversations between Cuba and the United States. Do you think it is possible to get a deal with President Trump?
I
think we can have an approach in terms of what is possible and what is difficult. I think dialogue and deals with the U.S. government are possible, but they're difficult. Cuba has always stood by its commitments, and the United States have not fulfilled its part of the deal. In the present, the U.S. has been engaged in talks with other countries, and while these negotiations are not underway, they have attacked those countries, and all of this creates a lot of distrust. And we know that inside the United States there are forces that whenever they see that there's a possibility to engage in discussions, to engage in a dialogue, they try to undercut and boycott those talks.
Are you talking to...
So here, I'll put the link to the Meet the Press interview in the Rumble chat, so you can go watch the whole thing if you are so inclined. The issue here, of course, is trust, as you just heard. An indication that Cuba might be willing to enter into some sort of a deal with the United States, but he doesn't trust Trump, because every time he makes a deal, he breaks it. Don't shoot the messenger.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Question from the chat, apparently. 1272B51 wants to know if the email address on the ticker scroll on the bottom of the screen is correct, and it is. It is maverickmultimedia@mail.com, not Gmail. It's a mail.com email address, so you can contact us there. That is correct. And as I say, I will entertain appeals. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't send our guest a link. I need to send a link. I get so busy that, here. How do I do that? Here, I need this. Copy that. I didn't send it to him. Give me just a moment. It's coming. It's coming. I just remembered now. I'm like, where's the guest? I'm sure he's watching. Okay. And I have one other thing to add about the appeals by email. Okay. Need to send this link? Okay. And, okay. There we go. Okay. Link is away. Just one other thing. Now I understand why he's not here. Though, Homer Simpson moment. Yeah, that's the correct email. Also, I noticed this in the chat after the program was over with last night. Cindy. Hopefully Rick gets a backbone and we get to have Laurie Spencer. From Cindy, 0904. I don't know exactly what that means. Hopefully I get a backbone. Why would you say that I don't have a backbone? I don't get it. I'm going to look in the chat. Is Cindy in there tonight? I haven't looked. Cindy, are you there? Hello, Cindy. I don't know if Cindy is present tonight. Scrolling up. No, it doesn't look like Cindy's there. I can only say that, Laurie was on the phone with us a couple of times in recent weeks. And I said I was going to send her an email and invite her back on the program. And indeed, I have. It's up to her. So my spine is fully intact. Here's Dragon, my friend Ian from Montreal. Oh my gosh, what did you have an earthquake? And all your pictures are now all crooked? What the heck's going on?
That one was a little bit crooked when I looked at the camera and I was like, that doesn't look good.
It's very abstract. Your style is quite abstract.
I do say, yeah, it is abstract a lot.
Yeah, that's what I did with my diplomas when I would graduate. I'd bring them home, get a tack, and kind of go, and then just kind of hang the thing crooked on the wall. Now, I have something special for the very end of the program related to a word that I invented. Yes, a brand new word. I might share it with you before I run that tonight.
Please do.
It's a new word. I had no idea I even invented it, but I did. So we're going to get to that in a moment. But of course, we spoke earlier today. I invited you to come and join me here tonight because once again, somebody sent me a link to, and this is it all connects to a link of a person, a lawyer, a Canadian lawyer who was talking about how Canada is not a legitimate country. You don't own your house. You don't really own your property. The government is corrupt. The political system doesn't work. You might as well, we don't really have a functioning democracy. Parliament is a joke. It's all a fallacy because we're ruled by an authoritarian king, and we're all being tricked. It's all fake, that it's not real because we just have a king. The king rules over all of us, and we're just being fed a line. It's a giant lie. When we go to vote, it doesn't even matter because the king dictates.
Yeah.
So,
a rule.
Again, this guy's a lawyer, and he's actually been on the program. I'm not gonna name him. I kind of like him, but man, when I was listening to him, it was like one fallacy followed by a lie, followed by an inaccuracy, followed by another lie, and you can decide for yourself why somebody might do that. Maybe they actually believe it, but I'll tell you, after listening to this long video that was sent to, I would not retain this gentleman to represent me in court for a speeding ticket. It was that bad. And he's supposed to be a constitutional lawyer. What a load. So this is actually why I came up with this new word that I'm going to share with you momentarily. But I wanted to bring you on because this whole thing about the king, right on the surface, I can just debunk it.
Mm-hmm.
I hear it from people in the States who don't understand. I see it on American podcasts from Americans who do not understand, even from educated podcasters, political commentators. They simply do not understand the Canadian or the British UK system of government. They haven't got a clue. And they just make assumptions and kind of go with that.
The Westminster parliamentary system.
Yes. So, and in Canada, it's doubly complicated because, of course, up there in Quebec, you live in Montreal.
Which is a total new other thing, because some people doesn't know yet, but we have a parliament in Quebec too. So,
yes, that's right. And that's your provincial legislature, of course, and every province has that. But Quebec itself is somewhat different because Canada formed with, with a foundation coming from two nations, really. Certainly, Britain dominated Canada, but still with the large French-speaking population, your foundation coming from France, and France at the time, of course, at that time had a king, but they had an authoritarian king, like an actual ruler, not a king that reigns. And therein is the key to this whole thing. This is something people don't really get, okay? My new word, by the way, combustulate. Combustulate.
Combustulate. Blastulate. Okay. Combustulate.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
It's
I got it now.
It's the best word ever. The most.
It's a mouthful for me, but
the most beautiful word, the word the likes of which the world has never seen before. It goes beyond a Trumpism. It is an exercise in linguistic gymnastics, but it is an all-encompassing and I would say descriptive word, multi-layered, it's versatile. It can be used in all kinds of political situations. We're going to come back to combustulate. I
wrote it on the chat. Is that correct? Do I have the correct
I'd have to go
spelling?
Yes, sir. That is correct. And you just made history because you're the first person to write combustulate in a social media chat.
Sorry, Linda, I'm not going to give you the definition. That's Rick's who's going to give you
the definition. Is coming up, by the way. So you're going to get a complete definition, and we're going to go through what it's all about. It's humorous, and I'm sure you're going to love it. Okay, so English and grammar class will commence shortly. And my dad is actually going to help us with that too. But anyway, back to this whole thing about the king. Are you familiar with it's right in the words of the national anthem for Britain and it's still the royal anthem for Canada, God Save the King, or Queen, depending on whether we have a king or a queen. Let me bring it up here. God Save the King lyrics. Let's see here, the national anthem. Now the royal anthem in Canada. I think it's right here. There it is. This is on the royal.uk website. I mean, I don't even have to get into the nitty-gritty of the legalities of all of this or the constitutional arguments. Just a very simple explanation about all of this is right here in the words to the anthem. God save our gracious King. Can you see that on the screen? Okay, there it is. Long live our noble King. God save the King. send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign, not rule, reign over us. God save the king.
Right.
There's another verse. This is most commonly not used. This is what people sing. We used to sing this when I was a kid in elementary school, before classes started. Believe it or not. Did you do that in Quebec? Probably not.
No,
Yeah,
we didn't.
Because you guys up there in Quebec, hey, you don't like our silly king.
Actually, you know what we had? We had basically I don't know how you pronounce it in English, but basically it was a sort of it was religious class kind of thing back in our grade school, first grade school. So that was basically it. We were studying Bible.
Well, look, the point that I'm trying to make here is it's right there. Your explanation is right there. And you'll find more in, constitutional law as it relates to this. But we have in Canada, King Charles is our king. He is also the king of Britain and the UK, but he is actually singularly also our king. We share him, but the king is just a person. And our king reigns. He does not rule. There is a difference between a king that reigns and a king that rules. When I was a kid, I just sang that anthem without giving it a second thought, honestly. Never thought much about that word, and I bet you dollars to donuts that most Canadians, I bet you very few people in our chat, in our Maverick family, if anybody, even really knows the difference, because it's just stuff that isn't commonly taught in school. You sing the anthem, but they don't really ever explain it. But there is a huge difference. This is why our American friends get so confused. They think, they have a king. A king rules over people. There is that type of king, and you have kings like that today in places like even Saudi Arabia. They rule, okay? But our king does not rule. Our king is a figurehead, but the king is really just a human representative of what they call a corporation soul, which is an entity, a legal entity, which is there and continues even after the death of a queen or a king. It continues, but you get a person, a representative who fills that role to serve the people, to reign over the people. The monarchy reigns, the king reigns over the country, okay? But reign means that a king that reigns is not involved in the day-to-day operations of the government. A king that reigns does not make the laws. A king that reigns is there to ensure secession, continuity of government, stability. No matter what happens, the monarchy is always there as the foundational support for the entire country, and the political system, regardless of which government is elected, what goes on, the king provides a legal foundation for that. Yes, laws have to be passed through royal assent, but that is a signature that is, I don't think, it's rarely ever been the case where the king has refused to pass a law into royal assent. I think maybe once or twice in Canadian history. And then it gets kicked back to be reconsidered and restarted through Parliament. But laws come from our elected Parliament, and then it goes through a process of approvals after that to make sure that the process has been followed. A king that rules, makes laws, enforces laws, can tell people, tell bureaucrats what to do, runs the government day to day. Everybody checks with the king to see what's going on. Our king does not actually do that. Our king does have the power to essentially appoint a prime minister, but the prime minister still has to get elected as a member of parliament to begin with. It's not like the king just goes out and just handpicks somebody out of the country, says, you're going to be the prime minister. Mark Carney had to get, go through a political process to represent the people. And
right now, the king, what can the king could do is basically say, Carney, sorry, but you do a bad job. You probably should resign and do something because now you're whatever, doing something wrong with the country, whatever, right?
If there's severe corruption, crime, something like that, where the king does have some powers that way, but it's never exercised. And the king does not get involved in the day-to-day operations of government, period. And
you're not going to have the Scottish Yard police come into Canada, arrest Carney because of corruption or whatnot. It's going to be up to us to enforce our Canadian laws to make sure that we have a succession of power.
And Canada is now a sovereign nation unto itself. We have our own foreign policies. We have our own judicial system, our own police. They would never send now law enforcement from Britain to come and, effect arrests on Canadians. So we have our own police to do those things, our own government to do it. And the bottom line here is there's a difference between a king that rules and a king that reigns. It's right there. It has been thus for a long, long time in the UK and in Canada, which a lot of people, I'd say the vast majority of people don't even understand. They don't realize that we have a king that reigns but does not rule. And there is a huge difference. That's why we do have a democracy, a constitutional democracy, a parliamentary democracy with a monarch that is there to provide stability for the country through convention, tradition. And here's the thing too.
I just want to say, actually, the book that you love to show to people, the Constitution of Canada, actually, it proves us that we are in a constitutional monarchy. And that's what is the beauty of basically, well, a Westminster Parliament system.
That's right. Now, at the end of the day, I mean, when it comes to anything in law, you can have lawyers sit there and try to punch holes in any argument or any piece of law or any piece of legislation, a constitution. I can do the same thing with the U.S. Constitution and whittle it right down and say this thing is an illegitimate rag. It doesn't represent anything. It's a fake document. It was just made up by some guys who got together and decided they didn't want to pay taxes to the government. So they decided they were going to separate, and that's why you had the battle for independence and 1776. It's just and ultimately, really, when it comes right down to it, that is a one of the major, if not the major reason the United States became an independent country. Taxation. They didn't want to pay the taxes.
Exactly. They wanted to not pay tax to Britain because everything that they were doing needed to be taxed by Britain, and a portion of all farmers needed to bring some stuff to Britain. So they were not happy about that. When 30% of your crops are to be shipped to motherland, not very cool for anyone.
Yeah. And in fact, even the king himself is not above the law. So there again is proof that we don't have a king that just is an ultimate ruler or dictator. And the separation of powers in the Canadian system is, I think, much more thorough and fair toward the preservation of a democratic system than what you have in the United States, because you're seeing it in real time right now down in the U.S., where the Trump administration has been very effective. They've been successful in eroding the separation of powers and concentrating power in the White House and in the Sharpie that belongs to the president himself. And they're not interested that much in democracy down there right now. That's why you keep seeing as well people like Steve Bannon talking about how Trump will continue to reside in the White House even at the end of this term and will run again in the next election, even though constitutionally that's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be allowed, but they're working on it, and it looks like he really wants to do that. So the rules be damned down there is what you're running into. And Trump doing kind of anything that he wants, going to war, picking fights, without even checking, not going through the proper legal motions with Congress and so on. But the main point I wanted to make tonight was we have a king that reigns over us, does not rule. You don't believe me? Go look it up. That's a very easy one. Okay? And there's more that could be said about all of this. But that's just a key thing. And it's right there in God Save the King, the words alone. That's why they use the word reign. Not long to rule over us, long to reign over us. And I think a lot of people don't pay much attention. And a lot of people think reign is R-A-I-N. I bet you, especially when I was in elementary school, most of the kids thought it's rain. It's like raining. He's going to rain on us. No, it's rain. R-E-I-G-N. Rain. Rain. And that means to reign over us, to provide stability and
basically the best way I think to picture it when people ask themselves what again is the difference between a reign and the rules. Basically just thinking this way: a ruler is the one who's going to have the boots on your throat and is going to take everything out of you, and even if he's abroad he's going to do everything, right? Where a reign is just basically the shadow of someone behind you, and he's just a shadow basically. So reign, shadow.
Yeah, he's there. He's there for support.
That's it.
And to say that no matter what happens, we have this Westminster system of government, and that the system is always here, no matter what. And so this provides confidence, trust in the system. People will invest in your country. It means that you can be sure that 50 years from now, 100 years from now, maybe 1,000 years from now, the system will still be here. So the dollar, our economy, it's all stable. You can trust our dollar, trust to invest in the country, trust that if you purchase property, that you have property rights, that all of those things will be supported moving forward, that you can't just get some, the king dies, you get some crazy guy in there like a Donald Trump being your king and decides to go around the world invading half the countries on the planet and go and picking fights with all your friends and allies. I'm just saying that's the difference. So don't believe me? You go look it up. I can talk more about this, and actually, I'm working on a project still, have been for many months, to kind of get into some of this stuff in a lot more depth, and so that will be coming forward sometime in the future if I can find enough time to finish it.
So, I want to go real quick on something actually. People have to remember in the time, and I hope my English is good on this one, but we had the manorial system back then, or what you call the seigneurial system, which basically back then it was representative of the king that was per region or per province was making sure that all their settlers had a home, had everything, that you were going to the church and making sure that you were a productive person for basically the colony. So, and that is an important part of the story.
Yeah. Through all of this, this brought me also back to my bad French accent thing that I did the other night, which was terrible. But this again brought me back to that because I was thinking about the king, sovereignty, Canada, Quebec, France, right? And that brought me back to the Monty Python movie, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And then there's that section in the movie where King Arthur goes up to the castle occupied by French soldiers. Do I have it here? I do. I probably can't. I can't run much of this. We'll get a copyright strike. I'll try to share just a little clip of it with you. Let me bring it up. And I thought this was really funny. Anyway, they're on the quest for the Holy Grail. King Arthur and his knights, his Kniggets, right? They're on the quest for the Grail. They go up to this castle. These French soldiers are there, and they want to get in. And they say, if you let us in, and let us partake in food and wine with you, we will let you join us on our quest for the Holy Grail. And the guy says, the French goes, we already have one. We already have one of them, right? And it kind of goes on from there. But I highlight it here because the French and the English at the time, always at odds, always fighting, right? So that was the case even in Canada, that France and England fighting over the New World. And
the fight between the French has been going since forever. Actually, it goes back to the Roman.
Yeah, so it's funny. Canada, though, built on compromise, different system. We've evolved into a country. We didn't go to war. We didn't have a 1776 moment. We had an 1867 moment, right? And that was Quebec, Ontario, French, English and French Canada, Upper and Lower Canada, coming together to form what has eventually now become Canada. But I just bring this up because even here in this Monty Python skit in the middle of this movie, it just highlights the absurdity of it all, and how silly the fighting has always been. And the French guy saying, "You are the sons of a silly man," which is the king, right? Which is why I said you people in Quebec are Canadian Quebecois. You don't want anything to do with our silly king.
If you will not show us the Grail, we shall take your castle by force.
You don't frighten us, English pig dogs. Go and boil your bottom, sons of a silly person. Blow my nose at you, so-called Arthur King. You and all your silly English Kniggets. What?
Yeah. I just I had to bring you on tonight to share that with you.
Well, it's a beautiful day for, having fun of our origins, because we got to be proud to be Canadian. Always.
All right. I'm going to get into the new word that I invented when we come back on the other side of this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
When you were in school, Ian, did they teach you about the Order of Good Cheer?
The Order of Good Cheer.
Yes.
Maybe.
Come on, my Quebec friend. Did they not teach you about the Order of Good Cheer?
I don't think so, but
Samuel
doesn't
de
remind me.
Champlain.
I know
Explorer.
Samuel Yeah, I know him, but
founded Quebec City.
yeah.
And the conditions were so harsh when they came to the New World that the people that he had with him were in really bad spirits. You don't know this? They taught us this in like grade 5 or something.
Maybe, probably, but I'm not familiar with the English term,
Okay,
probably because it's.
Well, let me share a little.
It's
I'll
my
share this a
French
little-
story.
I'll share a little bit about this. I almost burned my house down over this when I was a kid. I know what. How would you do that, Rick? Because I'm just a little different. Okay, so they were teaching us about the Order of Good Cheer, and Samuel de Champlain ordered his men at the time to remain cheerful. It was an order because they were all being negative. They were down. They were suffering from malnutrition, scurvy. It was the conditions were terrible. And so they went through I think it was like every week, they would assign one person to lead this big feast. And that person would be in charge of going out to hunt and getting a bounty, getting a deer or a moose or whatever, and bringing the food back. And then they'd have a big feast at the end of the week, and that'd be a big party, you see, and that would keep everybody in good cheer. And the order was, you're not allowed to complain, which is actually something my dad would appreciate very much. And so today, there's still. This is why I'm surprised maybe you don't know about it, because especially up in Quebec, and I know in Nova Scotia that they do this as well, they have festivals still marking the Order of Good Cheer. You're not familiar with that?
Not in English, but I know what you're talking about. I know the French term for it now, because the way you explain it now, I can make 1 and 1 with 2.
Do you want to know how I almost burned my house down?
Go ahead.
The teacher gave us this assignment, and we had to write up our own version of an Order of Good Cheer and make a scroll, right? Like an old-fashioned scroll. So it was an arts and crafts project as well as a writing assignment. Well, of course, what all the kids were doing at home was we were making it look really old. So like some of the kids, I was playing with fire. I was like burning the edges and making it look all old and crusty and everything. And of course, I set it on fire in the house while I was making it look old. But anyway, no harm done. The house didn't burn down. I don't recommend that today's teachers proceed with an assignment exactly, like that. So give your kids specific instructions. There shall be no burning of the scrolls, lest they burn their homes down. Very bad idea. But it was a different time. At that time, we used to do all kinds of crazy things, like jump off the roof of the house and land on our heads for fun, right? With no seatbelts. So just a different era. Just a different era.
In my time, the snowbank was high enough so you can jump like about 6 feet high and get on the back on another small snowbank and just, flip over, do whatever you want, but probably crack something during the day, but all fun, Break an arm.
Well, so comblastulate. This is the word that I came up with because I was like, oh my God. And I don't know where it came from. It just came into my head this morning as I was listening to this video of the lawyer who was just one lie and accuracy. I mean, just the whole thing, just full of it, right? Sorry, my friend, if you're watching this and you figured out who you are, I like you, but sorry, man. It's like you're way off base. It's like so wrong. And this is the stuff that they're feeding so many of us. But I think I know why. And that's because they maybe don't love Canada as much as they let on, because they don't love the country at all. And we're surrounded by people who are working against the best interests of not just the country, but the people, in my view, with this campaign of disinformation. In any event, comblastulate. So I said, this guy's comblastulating. And I went, wait a minute, what word is that? Comblastulate? So I had to look it up. And you know what? It didn't exist. It didn't exist. Couldn't find it anywhere. No definition for it. I invented a word this morning as I awoke from my slumber at 7:45 a.m. Comblastulate.
So it's going to be up to us to mainstream it?
Yes. So this new word invented right here on Maverick News. You're all part of the birthing of this new word, comblastulate. It's a word that I would I have a definition for it, and I explained the whole thing. I called up my dad today, and I asked him to not only share a dad joke with us, but also to just talk about my new word, comblastulate. So I have I have his interview queued up here. I'd like to share it with everybody. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Rock and roll. Here's my dad and me earlier today talking about my new word, a political word. Well, I've got you on the phone. Can I record you telling a joke for my show tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
A nice clean little joke.
Yeah. I invented a word today, Dad.
Did you?
I did. And so I thought I should get you to tell us a joke, but I'm going to tell you about my new word that I created. And I'm serious. I invented a word this morning by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my word is comblastulate. Comblastulate. I invented it this morning. When I woke up in the morning, my mind is always clearer when I'm rested. And so I'm most creative in the fog of morning, or even overnight if I wake up. So this morning I came up with comblastulate. And then I thought, well, where did that come from? And then I had to go. I tried to look it up, and it didn't exist.
I don't think so.
It doesn't exist. And so
what does it mean?
Okay, so I came up with a definition. And the reason I came up with the word to begin with is I was thinking about people who talk about things they know nothing about. And specifically, I'd watched a video of yet another person who was going on and on and on about how Canada doesn't really exist and we don't have a constitution, and that our parliament doesn't really mean anything, and the king rules over us all in a sort of an authoritarian dictatorship. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Anyway, so he was just another comblastulator. So the definition I came up with is to launch into a loud, relentless monologue on a topic, especially politics, about which one knows almost nothing, while displaying supreme confidence and zero self-awareness. The speaker dominates the conversation, steamrolling any attempt to interject facts, corrections, or differing views, often with a tone of moral superiority. So that's my new word.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Comblastulate.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and you can use it in all kinds of different in a lot of different ways. So you could say, as an example, don't get him started on foreign policy. He'll comblastulate for hours about the deep state, even though he's never read a single briefing paper. Or you could say,
here's a guy right now in the golf course. He just hit a combustionous drive.
Oh, well, there you go. See, now you're figuring it out. You can use it in all manner of ways. It's a very versatile word. Or you could say, she comblastulated the entire dinner party about inflation, confidently quoting TikTok economists she'd never heard of before that morning. You could say it that way. Or you can use it as a verb. You can use it as a noun. If as a noun, it would be a comblastulator, a person who habitually comblastulates.
Of course.
Or
Yeah, you're right.
Or
It's
also as a
combustion.
noun, you could say comblastulation, the act of or instance of comblastulating.
So that, in other words, somebody who likes to tell stories about things he did, but he stretches the truth and didn't really do those things. He's sort of a combustulator who combustulated what he was supposed to be doing, but he didn't do it.
That's right. That could be one. That would certainly apply. You could also, comparative words would be to bloviate, to pontificate, to grandstand, soapbox, mansplain. If you're a woman, you would say that about men like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a guy. This guy, he had a speech to make. He stood up on a big stump out in the field, and he started combustulating about things that he really had no knowledge on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make him a blowhard, a gas bag, a windbag, loudmouth, know-it-all, armchair expert, Twitter warrior, podcast pontificator, a barroom philosopher, or just a straight-up, everyday, run-of-the-mill comblastulator.
Oh, that's
pretty good, eh? Isn't that a great word? You could, and you can use it as a verb, of course, right? So, which would to mean in a verb phrase, you would say it, because that's like run their mouth, talk out their ass, beat their gums, go off on a tangent, hijack the conversation, lecture everyone. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pretty
yeah.
good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I created that this morning. Here's a fun fact. That word was born this morning. I gave birth to it at about 7:45 a.m. Eastern time on this day, April 12th, 2026. And it has now already survived one full day of heavy usage without being censored or canceled.
Yeah.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, this little joke I was just going to tell you about the teacher asked a little kid, and I can use your word here. The teacher asked a little kid if he could give her a sentence using the word gruesome, and he said, "Sure, I can." So he said, she thought he was going to combustulate a word, but he didn't. He said, "I used to be little, but then I grew some." So he didn't combustulate at all, see?
He just was straight up with the facts.
Yeah.
Well, language can be fun. I remember when I was in elementary school, we had these language modules, or I don't know what you called them. It was a program called Words Are Important, and they had these. You had to work through this whole system, and yeah, it was pretty good. Anyway, you learned all kinds of new words. Yeah, it's like when I was. I remember as part of that, we had to make up some sentence using fancy words as a homework assignment. So I came home and I asked Rob, my brother, right? I said, I need to do this. I have this project. I need to come up with a sentence with fancy words in it. I don't remember the exact assignment, but that's really what it came down to. So he came up with one that's always stuck with me for my entire life ever since. I was really young, but he came up with, and I used it in school. It was a hit too in class because we had to read them out loud. I said it was, "The obstinate Homo sapien would not cleanse his oral cavity." Like, do you even know what that means? The obstinate Homo sapien would not cleanse his oral cavity. It's the stubborn man would not brush his teeth. See, and if you were an expert comblastulator, you would speak in those using fancy words like that, so that no one could understand you, so that they would never be able to figure out that you really didn't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, yes. So I think we're all surrounded these days, because of the politics. We're all surrounded by a whole lot of comblastulators out there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we sure are.
Oh yeah. Now, how do you spell that?
COMBLASTULATE. Yes, comblastulate.
CLOM, CLOM.
Comblastulate. Comblastulate. Yes.
Oh, dear. Oh, that's pretty good. Well, good for you. I'm proud of you, son. You're coming up with new
Isn't that
words
great?
for the dictionary.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's got real roots and everything. I mean, there are Latin roots in that word. If you start to break it down, so it's not like it's a good word, and it's very versatile, as we've just demonstrated for people, and it's great for parties.
Yeah. He's a comblastuator.
Yes. What do you do for a living? I comblastulate. Oh, what is that? That makes me a comblastulator. Oh, well, excuse you. Oops.
There you go.
Not bad, eh? So
that's good.
I thought though that you could maybe tell us the Queen joke. Do you remember the Queen joke about the pantyhose? Or even though you could just insert woman. How do you know when a woman does, and then the thing about her, you know what I'm talking about? I don't want to give the joke away. I just want you to tell people the joke.
I know I did. Yeah.
Okay. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead and tell the joke.
Oh, okay. You can always tell when a lady passes gas when she's wearing pantyhose, because her ankles swell up.
Well, that gives a whole new meaning to the word comblastulate, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Her ankles comblastuated.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks for telling us the dad joke for the day. People love that stuff, so I appreciate it.
Okay, Zach.
All right, love you. Talk to you later.
Take care, buddy. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. There you have it, Ian.
You know what? I just learned something. I will use that as an advice and see who wears the pantyhose.
That's right. I was hoping he'd say it was the Queen, because he's told it both ways over the years. I don't know how he remembers all these jokes. He's just got so many jokes, just stored away in his mind, and that's one that I've always remembered. But I wanted him to tell it as being the Queen, but he said a lady. Either way, you get the idea, right? So that's, if you see a woman with her ankles swollen up, you know why. Or the Queen.
And that's the thing, your dad is an encyclopedia for jokes. You are for the news, and I love history, so
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, just real quick. Speaking of history, I want to combustulate on something. Real quick.
Be my guest.
Well, in 1931, remember the Statue of Westminster, where Britain lost his power and to make our laws in our country. This is where basically where we decided of our own laws in our own country.
Right.
And then you got also 1982, where the Constitution
was patriated. Yeah.
That's it, where the king only reigns and doesn't rules. So basically, since I was 2 years old, we're basically a country apart. So, I mean, I could combustulated against this guy that attorney that and I mean, we could have a night on this thing and probably
yes, we could. I don't know how much oxygen I want to give it, but I wanted to just address it because someone had sent it to me, and it's just one of these things that keeps recurring, keeps coming up. And as I say, this is also a preview of a much larger and more thorough project that I'm working on in this vein. So keep an eye open for that in the days ahead. Also a reminder that we will be, I think, I want to produce a sequel to War of the Worlds. And so if anybody wants to participate in that for part 2, I haven't got a title for it yet. The focus will be a little bit different. I don't think it will involve any poultry this time. It's going to be a different thing about UFOs mostly. And if you want to participate, drop me a message by email. I'll put that email address up again. Right there, Maverick Multimedia rather, at mail.com. Send me a note, drop me an email. Or if you've got the other email, you can send it there to rw581 at AOL.com. That's fine too. I'll see that. Or Maverick Multimedia at mail.com. That's more the company email. And we'll get hooked up and record sections for it. And I thought the last one was a lot of fun. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. I thought you were awesome in your role as a Maverick.
You know what? You know that you're gonna have me for the next one, because I'm sure to be again part of the crew. So
awesome. Okay, and with that, I have to take Cosmo, our mascot dog, for his evening constabulatory. Okay, and we'll be back here tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern on the
flip side.
I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom, running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. Cosmo's got them paws that just itch to roam. He's chasing his dreams, he's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a blur. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. Now the night's getting cold and the sky's turning gray. But Cosmo's still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With every step, he's leaving his path. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo
if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmos Run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day, when you're feeling low, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. In his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a bird, a heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a bird. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.